Good afternoon. Interesting listening to all these presentations. I've had an opportunity to drop in and see a few, and what I'd like to tell you about now is something a little bit different than perhaps what you've seen in the past, in that our company, as our name says, is focused in Japan and focused on gold. So I'd like to introduce you to Japan as a new mining or mineral exploration destination, or certainly the resurgence of the industry in Japan. A little bit of background about the country. Gold mining has been very active in the country since the 7th century. It's been part of the culture and an important part of their early economy. Right up to 1943, there was a very active gold mining industry. There were 76 mines in 1943 when they were all closed by the government as part of the latter stages of the war, and when they reallocated the miners into base metal mines and into other areas, factories, et cetera, to support the war effort. After the war, only 12 mines reopened, but those 12 mines were quite successful. They were throughout Japan and two of them mined about 2.5 million ounces. Another couple of mines mined over 1.5 million ounces, et cetera. So there's some high grade and some good production rates. But that was only 12 mines of the 76. There became a view by the 1970s that all gold had been found and mined in Japan. So there was a view that it was over. And I could agree that probably everything that stuck out of the ground was probably found. But in Japan, there was a startling event that happened in 1981. And in 1981, that was when the Geological Survey of Japan, they drilled a blind hole in the southernmost island of Kyushu. And they ended up going through a volcanic sequence, and by accident they went into the basement about 50 meters. And there they discovered one of the richest gold mines in the world, which is called Hishikari. A lot of people aren't familiar with Hishikari because Japan had been a closed society up to that point and continued to be after the discovery of Hishikari. But the mine was ultimately owned by Sumitomo Metal Mining, put it into production in 1985, and with a resource of 8.4 million ounces at 47.3 grams per ton. 7.4 million of those ounces have been mined so far. So the point there is that there was a blind discovery made in the 1980s that refuted that everything had been found. Still not a lot of exploration, but by 2012 there was a change in the mining law, and that's what got us involved, because in 2012 they changed the mining law and they brought in foreign companies, allowed foreign companies to come in and exclusively hold mineral exploration rights or mining rights. And this was quite revolutionary for the country. And so that change encouraged us to go there. We had a leg up on anybody else that may have been looking at it. The government wasn't really making a big splash about this change in the mining law because they hadn't got the permitting regulations organized yet. But we had one of our individuals who'd been a senior person in the BHP Global Gold Group, and 30 years ago had done an extensive study on the country and had really looked carefully at all the old historic mines and new opportunities and come up with quite a positive view. So because there'd be no exploration in that 30-year period, the views were still as relevant today. So at that point, the next 3 years of my life was basically getting as much intel as we could. I was able to obtain the Japanese government database, and we overlaid all that information together, and we started finding key areas of the country that were very prospective going forward. The government had also pulled back any old prospecting rights and had sort of reset the whole industry in 2012. So at that point, the only thing that was missing was the permitting regime. It wasn't looking very promising in terms of its initial structure, so we became very active with the Japanese government in terms of guiding them to a globally competitive permitting regime, and they accepted all of our suggestions to do so. So at that point, I instructed our team, and we got together with our running shoes on, and we decided to go out and apply for all the key areas in Japan that we could. We applied for 17 major projects from the northern tip of Japan to the southern tip of Japan, and the government was kind enough to award them all to us. And so that's how Japan Gold was formed. And I'm going to try and proceed here. I'll quickly touch on our shareholder structure. We've got 68 million shares outstanding. We have a very small market cap of just under $15 million today. Our share price trades at approximately 20 cents. All the financing that's gone into the company to date, being $12 million, has gone in at 40 cents a share. We've been the principal investors in the company ourselves, and so our holding company, which is our investment bank, owns 53% of the company today. Here's a quick look at Japan. This is a historic look. So you have a northern island of Hokkaido, the central long island of Honshu, and the southern island of Kyushu. The areas that are outlined in red are the historic areas of mining. The two areas in the center, Sado Island and the Izu Peninsula south of that, have been mined out. So we really focus on Hokkaido in the north, Kyushu in the south, and then the southern portion of Honshu. Here's that chart of the historic production since 2000, or since the Second World War, since 1943. After the war, you can see Hishikari at the top, and so you can see number of ounces, you can see grade, and you can see the closures of the other mines in the 1970s. So Hishikari remaining as the only real active producer in the country. Here's a map showing our 17 projects. 13 of our 17 projects are quartz veins with high-grade gold in them, where the other 4 are lithocaps or porphyries. This is Kyushu, the southern island. Hishikari is in the southern light green area, which is the prospective geology in the southern portion of the island. We have 2 projects that have been identified in partnership between ourselves and Kyushu University. Kyushu University is one of 3 universities that has been supporting us throughout Japan at taking decades worth of research that they've done on mineral exploration, old mines, and helping us identify the new key opportunities along with the government database. We also have one project in the north that's associated with another historic mine. I'm going to take you right up to Hokkaido and get to a real focus of my presentation. Again, light green area is important. The U-shaped light green area is our focused area. And we have several projects there that are really around another large mine owned by Sumitomo called the Kanamai mine that closed in 1974 and produced just under 2.5 million ounces. I'm going to take you to one project called the Akutahara project. This is a project that is just under 150 square miles, and all the white labels that you see, then there's 17 of them, are high-grade underground gold mines that were closed in 1943, have never been reopened, and have virtually had no drilling whatsoever or exploration since that time. We're finding that a number of these are joined together in some cases representing quite large systems that we've found now, and so we're fully evaluating those with our equipment. We've established ourselves well there with a large base in northern Hokkaido. We have 8 hectares of land that I purchased there, a large warehouse, a house that houses our geologists, etc., and the 3 diamond core drill rigs that I imported into the country as well. So we'll be drilling through those areas shortly. Under all 13 of our epithermal projects, we have 40 high-grade gold mines, 40 of the 76 that were closed in 1943. I'll just show you in the center of that oval, the southern oval, is the Kitano mine. And here's just an example of an old mine. This is actually a hill, a very large hill that had a sinter or silica cap that ran over the top of it, that had gold lightly interbedded in it and a very thick clay layer beneath it. A 500-ton-a-day facility was built, scaling up to 2,000 tons a day, and this mine was closed in 1943 and never reopened, and there's never been drilling to confirm where the feeder zones might be. We have a very strong board that consists of very senior mining executives from Newmont, Newcrest, and Sumitomo. The former chief executive of Sumitomo is on our board and is my key mentor and advisor in Japan. I'd be happy to talk to anybody sooner or later throughout the conference about more details. And what I would say is that We have a very strong board. This year, we're very focused on joint ventures. Because a number of the major international mining companies have approached us to partner in Japan, and we're also focused on drilling a number of the historic mines that we have to confirm mineralization and then explore underneath and around them to look for new discoveries. Thanks for your time.